So
Okay.
I'm going to give you a treat and talk about you for Projector.
Yay!
I know, I'm going to rope you in right away.
Yes.
So there's two big ones that I hear a lot about projectors. The first one that people say, or maybe the first misconception they hear about themselves as a projector, some things that say that projectors have no energy. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome back to the Human Design Hive podcast. How you doing, Haley?
I'm good.
That's good to know.
You always ask me the same thing, and it's always, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? One of these days, you might tell me something like, well, let me tell you. It's been a day.
This bitch.
No, we wouldn't say that. Here we go. I was thinking how it's another gloomy day. You know,
I know.
I had all this sunshine in between, and now today we go to record again, and I can't get enough lights on in my room to make it not look like it's the middle of the evening here, and but it's not raining; it's just very cold, so that's a plus. But so today, a little free-flowing kind of topic today. Now, maybe kind of teaching, not so much, but I was just inspired while I was driving around the other day, which happens a lot. I get some of my best thoughts when I'm driving around, and then I have to talk into my Apple Watch or take some voice notes and Google Keep, because if I don't note it, it will be completely forgotten. Kind of like how when I couldn't believe this, I was what was I doing? I was looking up on, I think, Apple Podcast Connect, which is where your podcast is through Apple, obviously, and it shows you like the back end of it, like your analytics and stuff. I was looking at it, and something made me go and look at the actual podcast in one of the apps. I think it might have been Spotify. I don't know what I was doing, honestly. And then I realized that in the show notes part of it, there's a section that Buzzsprout keeps on there all the time, so I don't have to always put in like my contact info. And so it has my social handles in there. They're the wrong ones.
No, that's good.
So I apologize. I had
that's good.
I had changed them. I used to have like on Instagram, on TikTok, I had, Dana _ Human Design Hive. And a couple weeks ago, I changed it. I was like, I don't need to do that. That's just too much. Let's just be Human Design Hive. Everything. So now across all social media channels is Human Design Hive. So that now you know. But I looked at it, I was like, oh crap. I realized I had it in my welcome emails too. So anybody has been trying to find me, well, there she is. She just is on these do not exist pages on social media.
That's good.
So yeah, that was not good. But hey, you know what? They say done is better than perfect. It was not, it was done, but it was not perfect. But I fixed it. So if anybody out there listening,
live and learn.
If you had wondered why in the hell I directed you,
you're like, I can't find her.
Why would she do that? Just a lot going on up in this head sometimes. So, yeah, that's my point. I gotta when a thought occurs to me, I need to go ahead and complete the thought or write it down somewhere where I can find it again.
That's just gone.
I know my computer is a wonderland of half-finished products, or even sometimes they are finished, and I go back and go, oh, I forgot I even look at that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'm not even a manifesting generator.
I know, but it sounds like you are.
I know. I'm just a generator with a wide open head. So it's yeah, all the inspiration. So anyways, the idea that it came through was certain myths in human design, because
Ooh.
or misconceptions maybe might be a
Ooh.
better misconception in human design and around human design. And I thought maybe we would kind of explore some of those and clear some of that
Ooh.
up, or at least what I think would be clearing it up. So
That's fun. I'm
yeah,
excited.
I have a list.
Ooh.
Can you think of anything that comes into your mind? I know I can see can see it start to like, oh God, she's gonna ask me.
Oh, my spleen just went.
Run away. It's not safe.
I'm gonna guess some of them are like some kind of myth about it being like frou hoo hoo woo woo. All of those sounds.
Well, it's funny because my other friend, Projector, Tora, who I asked right before we got on the podcast, same thing. She came up with the same thing, that it's more woo woo and it's not based in anything else. And I was like, and she reminded me of a podcast I had shared with her about something else we'll talk about one day about how the brain works. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I don't have enough time to get into that right now. But
let's put a pin in that one.
But it is true. I think anything that, unfortunately, anything that speaks more to our spiritual side or our souls, or, things that isn't the physical output of a body, anything like that, that's not measurable, comes off as woo woo. I mean,
yeah,
I honestly think that. But so, I mean, maybe to the outside observer it is woo woo, but I don't even like that term anymore. I don't even know what that means anymore.
I just I envision this like spaced out hippie, like fairy child thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just very much like aloof
yeah.
no tea. And just kind of like,
are you making up words? Aloof no tea? What did you just say?
I said aloofed at first, and then I said aloof no tea.
Oh, no
like no tea on it, because I said aloofed.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
I add letters that don't need to be added.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I think woo is going by the wayside, because really anything that dealt with, like I said, spirituality or human energy used to, I think there's still people that say, oh, you talk about energy and chakras, it's like not real stuff. But more and more it's being shown that everything is energy. We are in this quantum field.
If you look at any Chinese medicine, like they have been all about energy for way longer, like acupuncture, all of that stuff.
Energy,
they're
meridians.
all about it. Yeah.
And there is some, I mean, I don't know how you could say that the heart, they can see. I mean, we treat the heart not treat it, but we realize, we hook it up to monitors, we know it has an electrical frequency, right?
Yeah, because that's how we are like monitoring it, I'm pretty sure.
And they say in but one of the new ways that they're talking about securing your identity is through your EKG, like your individual heart signal. Have you ever heard that before? Because everybody
we were
has
watching
their own.
What were we watching? I started watching a new show on Netflix called The Traitor. I think that's what it's called.
So I realized in post-production editing that the correct name of the show is Treason, not The Traitor. Okay, let's hop back in.
And I've watched 1 or 2 episodes, I think. They used biometrics, but it was his heartbeat, because that's what they said, every heartbeat is different. It's like no one is identical.
Oh, what a novel idea. We all have our own frequency. So crazy. Wow. So woo.
So woo.
Yeah. So that is one of them. But so I have a few here that I thought we would dig into. Ones I hear a lot, or you have to kind of clear around, and we certainly have talked about some of them, but I thought it'd be fun to just kind of go through them.
And I feel like this might help me also be able to explain what human design is, because I don't know how to explain it to people.
That is not what I was going to talk about.
Well, I'm saying it might help me understand.
It may. I mean,
I said it might.
I mean, I'm talking about things within human design that we talk about all the time,
Okay,
like about certain types or whatever.
You can just cut that out.
Well, I always like to tell people that human design is basic because it's, it's a big topic. It is hard. What is the elevator pitch? But it's basically the owner's manual we've all been looking for. The user's manual. Everybody always say, oh God, here I am. I wish I knew what I was doing. Oh, or I wish I knew who I was. Oh, well, here you go. Here's a thing that's going to show you the blueprint. It's based on when you were born, where you were born, what time you were born, what was happening in the cosmos. And it's better than any personality typing test you've ever taken. It gives you your unique energy signature and blueprint.
I like user manual.
Yeah, I like user manual. But I think that when you are unable to describe something, when in your mind you're like, oh, this sounds so crazy, just have confidence. I realize that when I sometimes want to see how other people say things, I realize, well, they're just stating it. They're not trying to, as they're saying it, get your approval. They're just like, this is it. It's like,
yeah. What is that like?
Yeah, something I saw once, what you could learn from overly confident people or something like that. It's just like, just own it and let them ask questions. I don't have to answer all their questions while I'm giving an answer. Okay, so let's just talk about a few things about type really first. So I'm going to give you a treat and talk about you for projector.
Yay!
I know, I'm going to rope you in right away.
Yes.
So there's two big ones that I hear a lot about projectors. The first one that people say, or maybe the first misconception they hear about themselves as a projector, some things that say that projectors have no energy. That kind of falls into the lazy or whatever.
I was gonna say, it's one of them about being a projector being lazy.
Well, that's usually what the projectors feel. But so where this comes around of projectors have no energy, I'm not really sure. Maybe it's the not having a sacral center defined. You have a sacral center.
Right.
It is just undefined, which means that it's variable and not sustainable. So I always say, and as we know, I'm a generator. I always say that the projectors in my life they way outperform me quite often. And they quite often do for a couple reasons. Why would you think that would be, that a projector?
Oh, okay. Let me see. Why a projector would outperform? Well, I was gonna say the ability to tap into their energy.
Yeah.
And then I was also thinking something along the lines of the projectors focus their energy onto things that are actually important, or are more not beneficial, but just more the right direction or the right use of their energy.
Oh, that's a very projector answer. I like that one. I hadn't thought about that. But the first part for sure, which is they are tapping into sacral energy around them, because good chance that there's a lot of sacral energy around them at any given time. And that is an amplification when they do that. And so they can really use that. And that's why projectors are here to, one function is to know when enough is enough, because they can learn about what happens when you misuse that energy, right? By using it too much. So there's the amplification of the sacral energy that's always probably around them. Tends to make them feel like they have more energy, and they do. it just won't last over the long run.
Mhm.
I mean, you could keep that up for years probably, but eventually it can run out. But I like what you were saying about right use of the energy. That's very, very good. But I'd also like to point out that there's not just one motor in the
Right.
system. There's 4. Sacral's one of them. What's another one?
Sacral, root, the G center,
Nope.
and the heart.
Heart, will center,
Okay.
yes. G center,
Heart,
no.
will center.
They're all kind of over
it's-
there and get grouped together.
Is it the solar plexus?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So even though a projector will never have a defined sacral center, they could have one or more of those centers defined. You do not. No, you do. You have the root center.
I have the root.
That's right. I forgot.
I got both the pressure centers.
But yeah, I mean, but then you could have a projector with 3 motors, and and especially if a projector has the will center defined, because the will center loves to work. It loves, because it's all about the material world and doing things for the community and for their tribe and all that other stuff. It does love to work, but it also works to rest. So it's another motor that can give projector a lot of energy. So yeah, projectors have energy and they use it quite well. They can use a lot of it, and they can usually outwork anybody in the room, if you ask me. Because they know what needs to be done. Okay, another projector myth. Projectors just can't do anything without being invited.
Yes.
Yes. That is a misconception.
I did. The first time you told me about it, and you're like, well, you have to wait to be invited. And I was like, what? What?
Say what now? But I got things
I don't know.
I got things people need to be doing. Well, okay. So that, of course, is tied to the projector strategy of waiting for the invitation. Is the flat, traditional human design strategy, wait for the invitation, which I think causes a lot of confusion because there really wasn't a lot of explanation around that. and it just stops people in their tracks. Wait for the invitation. So first and foremost, the invitation is for the big things in life.
Right.
That involve other people, really, because as you said, they can focus their energy, and the projector aura is a penetrating focused energy on the other. And so they need to be invited if they are going to enter into larger things like relationships, jobs, changing where they live, things like that. Definitely they need to be invited into. Why?
Oh, because otherwise their energy is wasted because people aren't ready to hear what they have to say.
That's right. It may, and because their energy is precious, it is a resource for sure. And it has a specific purpose, and it is specifically meant to help just certain people. And a projector, when they receive an invitation, the invitation is a recognition of what the projector has to contribute, right? To the person, to the job, right? And so when you said a projector focuses their energy in a certain direction, I think that was really interesting, because a projector should pay attention to what it is that they're really interested in, things that they like just for the pleasure of knowing that they like doing it, whether they know they're good at it, whatever, because the projector first has to recognize their own worth, so that when the invitations come their way, they know that this is a right use of their energy or not. Because a projector is going to have many skills, but they may be asked for a certain contribution from someone for a skill that, they have, but it's not the right use with that person, kind of thing, if that makes sense. Anyways, so they don't have to wait to decide what they want to eat for dinner, when they want to eat dinner. They don't have to wait to figure out what they're going to wear that day. Somebody doesn't have to invite them to wear red.
Or the big things.
groceries, simple things. Life,
It's
generally,
not a
no.
big path changes.
No, yeah, these are big things that are really going to require the energy of the projector. So, especially you see it a lot in the online or in the entrepreneur space. People get very frustrated. Well, how am I supposed to do social media? How am I supposed to market to my customers? I have to be invited into everything. And then no, you don't have to be invited to be passionate about something that you love or something you've created. Like, it's yours. You've got to see the value in it, show the world, and then the right invitations will come. So anyways, that's that one. So anything else you want to put into that? No? Okay. All right, we'll move on to manifestors. And I don't know if I have one for every cat or type. These were off the top of my head. One that always comes up is manifestors are the only ones that can manifest. I think it might have something to do with the name.
Yeah. Which, I mean, based on what we've talked about, is not true at all.
No,
it's all
not
about your monopole.
That's right. And really, they're, from my understanding, called a manifestor just because they have a motor to the throat, which is the center for communication, manifestation, which all manifestation is bringing thought into form. And that's what they have, that motor connected to the throat. It makes it, I don't want to say easier for them, but it's that initiating energy because they can just start the process. But yes, you're absolutely right. Everybody, it's not that we can manifest, everybody is manifesting every moment of every day, because that's one of the laws of the universe. It's happening, this is everything around us is a manifestation. That's how you choose to direct your energy. I was just watching
perception. I was going to say perception is your reality, which is kind of like manifesting.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, they are really just the ones that can get things into motion without needing other people to help them do that, because they have that direct connection to the throat. Another one being that manifestors don't have to wait ever. I think this is one that I have learned over time, that every type has to wait. We all have to wait. And manifestors, do you know what it is they're waiting for, or how they're waiting, or why they're waiting?
Oh no. So why are they waiting?
Or what it looks like to a manifestor?
Oh, they have to wait for the internal cue.
Yes. Yay, you did.
I'm learning things.
That's right. They are tapped into source, in a way that the rest of us are not, in the sense that they have this internal nonverbal creative flow, and they don't know when it's going to hit, right? That's why when it does hit, they are supposed to then use their strategy of
informing.
That's correct.
Yes.
You're on a roll. Might be the end of the quarter here. Yes, because then that gets them into action faster. But the thing is that they don't always know when that's going to happen. And so, yes, they can jump into action right away. But there's an important piece here that, when I say they may have to wait, is that, one, they are also non-sacral beings. And so that means they have one of those other three motors is connected to the throat. And so it's either going to be the root, getting there through the spleen would be that kind, which they call like a splenic manifestor, which is, whatever.
Another way.
Or the other way, through the solar plexus to the root, or they could just have the will center to the throat connected there. That would make them a manifestor. But that means that since they don't have that sacral defined, just like a projector does not have a sacral defined, they need to make sure that they are not burning themselves out by amplifying that sacral energy all the time and not resting. Because quite frankly, if a manifestor, if they're not rested, they can sometimes get that cue, whatever, and not be able to get into action. But also to point out that If it goes through the solar plexus, which is the emotional center, that means you have an
Gotta ride the wave.
emotional manifestor. Yeah, emotional manifestor cannot immediately implement their plans either. They have to ride that wave to make sure, again, they're rested, it's the right move, they're in the right place, they've done all the things they need to do. They still have to wait, because I think it's something like, manifestors are only 9% of the population. And then of that percentage, half of them are emotionally defined.
Wow.
So it's a very small percent that could potentially get right into action. It's more like 4.5% that could get right into action. But they, if they're not rested and they're not taking care of themselves, quite often they can miss that cue. That's just, still, I think everybody has to wait at some point. Because, we're talking about, if you talk about the quantum field, all the things that are variables that are happening around you at any given moment, let's just remember that it's set up this way of knowing about the types, knowing about human design. This is all to help us to understand how to use our energy and understand how energy in the whole world works and how we all work together for our benefit. So things work better for all of us. So that's just that. Generators. I think this is an interesting one about generators and sacral response. I think as a generator, because we do have defined sacral response, we think, oh, you get a sacral yes, that means it requires you to do something. Requires you to get into action. And I can say I'm guilty of this myself. Hence why I have so many unfinished things. Like, oh, I'm supposed to do that. I had a yes. I had a sacral yes. I'm supposed to do this, supposed to do that. No. So what makes a generator, that's sacral, right? It is, and it says the aura is an open and enveloping aura, right? So it's like welcoming the whole world in. It comes to
Pulling them in.
A generator's energy is attractive, and it is open to what the world outside of it wants to bring to it. And there is that sacral response of like, oh, yes. Oh, that's interesting. But it doesn't mean you have to do anything about that. It's just interacting in the field, so to speak. So you're always, if you are a sacral being, you are always responding pretty much in every moment.
Oh, it's like, must be nice.
Yeah. So a response to something could just be an inspiration or an idea, to be like quite, it's tricky. I still haven't mastered this whole like living completely in this sacral response. I think it's not as easy as it sounds, because that literally means that you wake up every day with no agenda. And you're just supposed to be like, yep, no, yep, no, yep, no. Oh, right. So it could be, so what I do sometimes is I might have an idea of what I should be doing this day. Should is a terrible word for a generator, for anybody really. But a lot of times I just allow myself to see what grabs my attention first. It works for me that way. But sometimes things are just interesting. Sometimes they just make the sacral light up. It just
makes it happy.
Yeah, it just brings joy to you. Like, ooh, look, a sunset. I
love a good sunset.
I know. Clouds and sunsets have been getting me lately. So how can you know? Well, let's also not forget, again, half of those sacral beings are going to be emotional. So you definitely don't get into action right away. Again, doesn't mean I have to wait my whole emotional wave to decide what we're going to have for dinner later. It's just, these are bigger things. I think it's interesting to point out that this part of it, the authority part of it, like your emotional wave and some other things, is usually involving other people, things outside of yourself that you're trying to make decisions for. But one way if you have someone with you at the time or not, you can just tend to, if something is exciting to you, you see something, you're like, ooh, that looks good, I want to do that. But then, do you really want to do that? I don't know, maybe if you have someone with you that can ask you those yes or no questions, are you just intrigued by, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to give an
Do
example.
you feel like you can ever work yourself through that by asking yourself yes and no questions?
Well, it's interesting. It depends. I was contemplating that, and I was studying a little bit about that, and there's still kind of the mind involved. Sometimes you might actually, because if you're asking yourself, it's going through your mind, right?
Your own filter.
But I mean, I feel like I can feel when things feel right or not, like a yes or a no. But then again, if it's confusing to someone, it might, or you're not used to working with that and what that feels like. If you've lost touch of it, of what it responding feels like to you, you could certainly have someone else ask you. But an interesting thing I was reading, someone was talking about how you might try to ask yourself yes or no questions, and you might think you have the answer, but then again, it's something outside of you were to ask you those same questions in the moment, or if
Be different answers.
Yeah, like if you were thinking about moving somewhere, let's say, and you have all these like, oh yeah, that feels good. I want to do that. Do I want to move here? I want to move there. And you think but if someone said you have to move today, you ready to go, be like, oh, I don't know. Or you're going next week, or your job says, oh, you have to move here. Oh, no, I don't know. So there's no absolutes. I don't think,
Yeah.
so, but anyways, just to again reiterate, doesn't mean you have to actually do something just because your body responds as a yes to you. It's just, feels good to you.
Sometimes it feels good. Yeah.
This is delightful. So these are some more general human design things. And this one was one that started to stick out to me pretty clearly a year or two ago, was when you're looking at the original source material, we call it, and what Ra would say about human design, specifically around conditioning. The biggest thing you hear over and over is about deconditioning. You have to decondition. And it is this long, drawn out process, deconditioning, right? Always taught 7 years to decondition. And I know there's still people out there now that are saying it takes 7 years to decondition. According to some people, from when you discover human design, 7 years to decondition. And it's bullshit. I'm just gonna say it. I don't believe it at all. And where does this come from? Well, it comes from Ross stating, believing, whatever, that it takes 7 years for all the cells in your body to regenerate, which is not a factual statement, because yes, some regenerate. I think they're at different rates. Yeah. So on average, all the cells in the body on average replace, they say, every 7 to 10 years. But there are some that are there longer, and then there are also that take longer. And then there are also some that never die, never regenerate. There are cells in the heart, the eyes, and the brain. Heart, the brain.
Eyes in the brain.
Yeah, our brain.
And the brain.
Some of those cells are with us our entire lives. Like, for instance, cells in our bones, while they're constantly regenerating, it actually takes more like 10 years. And there are even some, like in our muscle and fat cells, some can take up to 70 years to renew. So, I mean, it's not a hard and fast rule that everything is new in 7 years. It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't. Now, I don't know where he came up with that, other than to say it's because everything is new again. So it's like you get a clean slate. But even that doesn't make sense.
No, it's still just bullshit.
Right. I mean,
he just threw something out there.
Well, he's been known to do that, but there's a few other here. But actually, I think especially now, with what we know about really let's say, how the universe actually works, how you can change beliefs very quickly in this day and age. We have gained since this time when the system was first delivered in 1987. A lot more healing techniques have come through to the masses for more people to understand this, that you can accelerate healing. You don't have to wait on this long path.
Yeah. And I don't feel like you have to be completely deconditioned before you can start like just being more aware of what human design is telling you and like benefiting from it and kind of living by it. I don't feel like you have to be like, it's not a hard and fast, oh, you have to be deconditioned before anything's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, because he would say that you don't start living your design till you've like deconditioned, which
did he have the gate of black and white?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I think that if you did nothing else but just know your type and your strategy and your authority and just live by those as much as you can, I mean, that gets you in the full functioning of your design. Let's put this other myth busting thing out here, that 7 years to decondition, right? Well, we're being conditioned on a daily basis because we
don't live in a vacuum.
No, we're always operating in a world that is full of other people's beliefs and ideas and things that we have to decide for ourselves on a daily basis what it is we believe or not, you know? And not all conditioning is bad. You know, people can have a very positive effect on you that can condition you into a different way of thinking. So there is a lot to be said about challenging your beliefs, restructuring them, letting go of things that don't serve you, which would be deconditioning. But it doesn't mean that there's no hope for you to live a happy life if you haven't taken care of all the stuff, right? Because I also think that people think they can't move forward until they've healed everything from the past. Well, again, I think we are at choice points in every moment of our day. And, you know, one thing I would hear a lot through Marianne Williamson's work was that it doesn't matter how you got it. It's yours now. What are you going to do with it? Is the basic, you know, it's not a direct quote, but it's like, so often we want to spend so much time looking at what happened, and why it happened, and try to figure it out why it happened. Well, a lot of times you can
drive yourself nuts.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's also a lot of times looking outside of yourself as to the source of what happened, but you have a choice at every moment. Just because something happened in your life doesn't mean that you have to keep living that out in every moment of your day. Were you going to say something? You kind of were like when I said, just because something happened.
Oh, something along the lines of like people say, I think it's like you can't control what happened to you, but you can like control how you react to it or how where you go from there. I think I was going to say like that.
Yeah, that's true. In every moment. Yeah, you can't always control what's going to happen, but you can control your reaction or how you deal with it, you know? And so I find that to be really interesting. But so we don't have to wait. We can, because when I first heard that, when I came to human design, I'd already been doing all this meditation and mindset and all this stuff work. And then I'm like, well, why would I want to pick this system up? It's telling me it's not going to work for 7 years. That, you know, hey, that's great. Look, that's me, but that's not going to work for 7 years. That's not what it's meaning to say, or what you should take from that. No, you can start working with this right now, which brings me to another point, which is that your design is something that you have to do. Human design is something that you have to do, or that you have to learn your design in order to do it. Which definitely is not true, because why?
Well, half of it is unconscious. And it's just, and the whole thing in general is just, it's how you were created. It's how you are. That's just it. You're just living in it.
That's right. And, you know, even though I'm here on this podcast to teach you to so you can learn about human design, I'm not teaching people to learn as in they need to learn it to implement it. Like I'm just here to shine the light of hopefully some more understanding
It's you're like trying to show people how to just recognize it and be more aware of it. It's still
Mhm.
happening regardless.
Yeah, it's like gravity, the law of attraction, all those things. It's there. And I think that's why when people first come to human design and they start learning about it, it certainly there's it resonates with so many people because it just shows you what you came in with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's operating whether you're aware of it or not, especially your defined areas, right? Your type.
Mm-hmm.
These are all things that are just they just are. And
Mm-hmm.
when people start learning more details about it, it can illuminate to them, oh, that makes sense now of why this went this way or that what happens. Or, it could also help them see how their type or how their strategy and authority have worked in life without them knowing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what that feels like when that's usually a time when you felt really in alignment or things just seem to happen for you and flow. And in the moment is usually a correct use of strategy and authority, but you didn't know you were doing that.
Right.
So yeah, and you don't have to know any of this. I'm just here. Human design is just here to, if you want some insight into the why, and maybe a way to help you figure out what.
I just had a kind of
Mhm.
a analogy come to me.
Mhm.
You're like giving people a flashlight and then leading them through a cave tour. Like
Mhm.
you're pointing out things to them with their own flashlight. They can do it
Mhm.
on their own, but then you're just kind of like, oh, this is this, this is this.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. You can elect to take the recording with you into the cave or not. Right? You get to the state park and you're like, no, I'm just gonna wing it with this flashlight. I'll be fine. Or you might be the person that's like, no, I want to know all the details.
Give me everything.
Give me everything. This is very good. That's so true. The guided tour. I like it. I like it. Oh, another one is that you would hear a lot from Ra, which a lot of people have issue with, myself in general, was that there's no choice. You may not have heard this, but I heard that there's just no choice. This is what it is. You don't have a
Like in the whole
choice.
world, there's just
Like
no
it's
choice.
the program. Your generator is going to be like this. This is your design. This is it. Like it's already written in the stars, and this is the program you've been given, and this is what you're here to do. I know, look at your face. Like, so, I mean, if you have listened, which I don't think you have, I don't know if you've ever listened to any of his recordings.
I don't know.
No. And all text that was written by Ra is just a transcription of his recordings. He didn't write anything really. It sounds crazy, a lot of it. But there was a lot of fatalistic. He had more of a fatalistic approach at times to, humanity, and where we're
What does that mean?
fatalistic.
Like death,
Not
like
very helpful.
to me. Okay, that's what I was kind of figuring, but I mean, it's got fatal in it.
Yeah, he had a more gloomy outlook on where humanity was going. But I also think that in 1987, and he died in 2000, early 2000s. I don't remember the exact year right now. And things look totally different than they did 10 years ago. He died in 2011. I wish I could remember right now, but it doesn't really
It's
matter.
okay. Early 3000s. They were a wild time.
Yeah. Well, I think that with all the upheaval and everything that's been happening in the world, I think we are turning the corner. The train is, slowing down, and it's going to change direction, I think. And I think for a long time, a lot of us thought that we are reaching a choice point really in humanity. Are we going to go one way or the other? Is this done, or are we going to figure this out and keep moving on? And I think we're figuring it out, and I think we're going to keep moving on because people care more about this stuff, but also people are more open to this stuff. And I just think that things like human design coming along has helped people understand themselves and the world in a different way. But like we said earlier, we always have a choice, right? And, human design even would show you that even though we all have individual designs, even that of a twin, if you have a twin siblings, they'd have the exact same design pretty much, unless they were born like an hour apart. They might be different, like moon placements or something. But it's more than just the design, right? That's the stamp. That's it. This is what, but then
this is what you have to work with.
It's what you have to work with, right? It is not you. It is what you came in with, but it's not you. You is you taking what you have and living it and making those choices
and choosing how to use it.
That's the age-old question of predetermination or, free will and all this other stuff. But I believe in free will. And that we all have a choice and we can take the tools we were given and make the most of it. Because, like our friend Laura, she has a twin brother.
Yep.
So they have the same design, totally different people. Well, they're different genders. They have gone different directions. They are different in so many ways. Even though they are twins, they're going to have certain similarities, but they're not the same person. Never going to be the same. That's the point. None of us are the same person. Okay. And so anyway, so those are just some of the main misconceptions, myths that I could think of off the top of my head. And I'm sure there's a lot more out there because, like I said, the origins of this system are interesting. It has been evolving. And I think as it evolves, we all find certain things within the system that we're like, well, that may not be accurate. That may not be true.
And I mean,
or it may not be true for you.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like it's still fairly new opposed to like the I Ching or astrology, which has been around for so much longer. Like we don't know. They could have been going through the same kind of process that we're going through with human design now, just way back then. And we just don't know it because it has been so much more of a lifespan of those.
Yeah, and there's been there's many different styles of astrology, not belief systems, but people, the way they use it, the way they calculate it, caused quite a hubbub in the human design community a year or so ago about sidereal astrology, which is way more complicated than I can get into.
I don't even know what that is. So
it's really about where they decide what is the point from which they're determining where the stars in the sky actually are. Is it a true, like looking up at the sky, or is it like another way with like Western astrology? There's Vedic astrology. There's all these different. Now, to that point,
I didn't know that.
To that point, human design specifically was said to be based off of the Western astrology model. There's plenty of people out there that do the sidereal, they do the Vedic, and that's fine. It's not what I do. If that resonates with some people more, it's fine. Because this is just a mechanism. This is just a thing to show you how you're designed. It's not a belief system in the sense like it's not a philosophy or religion or a dogma or anything like that. It's just here it is. Take it, leave it, whatever.
This is your energy. This is what you got. Use it how you want.
Apparently we can all choose. I mean, there's people that no matter how much the world shows them that the earth is round, they still believe it's flat. They choose their own reality.
I don't get flat earthers. I don't. Okay.
I gotta watch that documentary.
Wait, what? What documentary?
There is one. I want to say there's one on Netflix or something about. Oh, somebody's told me about it. I gotta look into it.
Hang on. Now I gotta know. Flat documentary Netflix. Watch behind the curve.
Maybe.
Behind the curve. Flat Earth.
Flat Earth. Well, I guess it goes to the point that. Like gravity's working, whether you believe it or not. The earth is round, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
These systems line up, human design shows you how these systems interact, that we've all been using all these entries and how they can all layer together and just give us a clearer picture of ourselves.
I mean,
whether you believe it or not.
We accept gravity, yet we don't entirely know how it, like, why? Why is it? Why?
Yeah. Well, there's the
You say
one
that
theory that
goes.
once they discover that monopole, well, no, they know the this was just mentioned in the show we were watching last night. We're watching War of the Worlds on Prime as a British series. One of the scientists, she said she was theorizing something. Oh, we've theorized for years that we know magnetic monopoles exist. We just haven't found one yet. And I was like,
I know about that.
My ears picked up. Yep. But I believe the voice did say that scientists will discover that. Also about the neutrinos, which we have now discovered and captured neutrinos. So the monopole's coming.
It's up next.
It's gonna happen soon, I think. But anyway, so
I love a good Mythbusters.
Oh God, I know you guys used to watch that show all the time.
Apparently, and it makes me sad if it's true. What were the Jamie and Adam? Apparently, they didn't like each other.
No, I could see it.
That's what I've heard, and it makes me sad if it's true because I don't want to believe it.
I could see that. Which one was?
I just have Jamie, I think, was the one with the mustache, always wore the beret. I think that was Jamie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, you could tell quite often he didn't like the other guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't an act.
She gave him that
He's like,
but my lens on the show is a child lens because it's I haven't watched it as an adult, so I don't have that little filter. I was like, yeah, they're friends. That was a great show.
Yeah, it was good. So I thought you might like that. All right. So
yeah, it was fun.
All right. So we're just going to wrap that up today. Hopefully we've given everybody something to think about, or maybe think about in a different way, or curious to dig into a little bit more, or even experiment with, especially some of those things about type. And so we appreciate everybody listening today. Can't wait to come back at you the next episode with something just as fascinating. There's a real lead up there. Golly.
Set yourself up there.
Put pressure on myself. I just hope I can give you something next week that is of value, because we enjoy
everything
being here.
Has been look, you just got to state things as facts.
That's true.
Everything has been of value.
Thank you. Thank you for guiding me, Projector.
I can't tell myself this. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I see you. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up. So you have a good rest of your evening, Haley. And I will talk to you later.
Yeah. Bye.
You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Catch you in the next episode.